Creepers left to rise, buzz like crazy. Everybody's trying to steal my lady. Spiders in the mirror and feel this can't be right. Back to the scene of a Friday night, to a blessed collision still frozen tight. Spill drinkers, Cupid and the sound of her first chime. And why did you argue? We're dreaming of those eyes.
Hello my friends, and welcome back to my channel and welcome to another reading vlog. So this week I think I'm just going to do a weekly reading vlog, which is basically all that I ever do. Sometimes I do reading vlogs throughout the week, sometimes I only do weekend reading vlogs. I have given up on having themed reading vlogs because I'm just too much of a mood reader to do that, and I just want to read the books that I want to read when I want to read them. So, in that spirit, this week I am continuing reading Mafia romances. I really enjoyed the Mafia romance readathon. It was so fun. I just had a blast reading. I had some of my favorite reads that week and I just wanted to keep going. So I decided to pick up book 2 in the Mafia Wars series. This is the first one was Ruthless Stranger by Maggie Cole, and this one is Broken Fighter. So this book follows Boris Ivanov and Nora O'Malley. So they have like feuding families. So Boris is the Russian mafia and Nora is from the Irish mafia, and they are like they can't be together. Like that's the thing that makes them not able to be together, because they just don't like each other, I guess. Like, I don't really know why. I don't know that much about Mafia, but it's basically, like, forbidden. Like, so Nora's grandmother actually raised her, and she just recently passed away, and she left her bar to Nora. And before she passed away, she made sure to tell Nora not to marry a Russian. But Nora's brother is best friends with Boris, so this is a brother's best friend romance too. And Nora has known Boris since they were teeny tiny. Like, something happened when he was 13, and she has just they've just had feelings for each other for a very long time. But of course, they've always kind of stayed apart because it's forbidden, until one night when they give in and they have a very passionate night together. And everything goes from there. So Nora sees something about Boris, though. Boris leaves once a year, and he doesn't tell anyone where he goes. He leaves for several days, and she's really concerned and worried about where he's going and what he's up to, and you know, thinks it may be something really dangerous, doesn't know what he's involved in. So that's also a subplot there. I will say that this book is much more Mafia driven than the first one, and I don't hate that. Like, I actually think that it's really interesting. I feel like there is a setup for this Mafia war that's coming. I mean, the whole series is called Mafia Wars, and so we get to see a little bit more of the setup here, where it was sort of just hinted at in the first book. But the thing that is really compelling me is just their forbidden relationship. Like, they want each other so badly. They, not just physically, but they want to be together. And, like, Boris is so extremely protective and possessive, but not in a bad way, I don't think, in a bad way, of Nora, and he just wants her to be his woman. Like, he wants to claim her as his and wants everyone to know that she is his, and it's just delicious. I love it so much. It's such a fun read. This book has different narrators than the first one, but I just am completely engrossed in this book. Like, I just love this author. I think that she is great at building sexual tension and chemistry, but also in really creating feelings of love. It's like a perfect blend for me of sexual chemistry, heat, emotion, romance, love. It's just a perfect blend for me. So I am actually about halfway through with the book right now, and things are just starting to come to a head. But I'm still just really liking it. So I think this one is probably, this could be a 5-star read. I don't know. We'll see how the rest of it plays out. If not a 5-star, I think it's probably going to be a 4.5, unless something really bad happens. And again, that usually does happen in the last half of the book, right? Anyway, that is what I'm reading. I also Today is Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, and so you know what that means. Tuesday, June 8th. That means that Real by Kennedy Ryan was released today. I have already read this. I received an ARC, and I read it, and I just loved it. It became my favorite book of the year. Just... But before I got the ARC, I had pre-ordered the audiobook because I love the narrator. The male narrator is the same one who narrated Grip in the Grip trilogy, and I just loved his voice so much, and I just had to have the audiobook because I figured, like, I knew I was going to listen to it. So I'm also listening to that, but I'm not going to keep you updated on that since I already have a dedicated reading vlog to Real, but I just want you to know that I'm listening to the audiobook. The audiobook is a thing of beauty. It is a masterwork, honestly. It is just... fantastic. If you're interested in this book and you like audiobooks, highly recommend the audiobook. It is phenomenal. I'm so happy reading it. I just love this book so much. Okay. Anyway, so that is what my reading plans are for right now. I'm not sure what I'm going to pick up after the Maggie Cole. I may keep going into more Mafia. I want to read more Sophie Lark. I know that Jen is going to have a live on her channel with Sophie Lark, and I believe Jessen and Tiffany are going to be on that too, and I want to read more of Sophie's books other than just the one. So I have the first book in that series, Brutal Prince, that I might pick up too. However, I guess I don't need to. It's only the first week of June, but I haven't really made a dent in my June TBR. I haven't really been reading any historical romances lately, and I honestly haven't really felt like it much. And I think that's largely because the last few historicals that I read were 3-star reads, and it seems like for me, if I get a string of 3-star reads, which for me doesn't mean it's bad, it just means it's fine, you know. I think a 3-star read for me means that, you know, it may be somebody else's that they just really liked, or maybe they even loved it. That's happened for sure. But for me, a 3-star is just like, there's nothing bad, but there's nothing exceptional about it. It's just, it's fine, you know? And I had a string of those in historicals, and so I felt a little bit burned out on that subgenre, and that's when I kind of got into more of the contemporary and the Mafia, dark romance. So that's where my mood is right now. I'm not sure what I'll pick up next, but I will for sure update you once I have finished Broken Fighter. Really enjoying that one so far. So that's all that's happening on the reading front, and I'll check in with y'all when I have more to update. Hello, my book besties. Hello, my friends. Welcome back for a vlog update. What is happening with this right here? I don't know. I just got back from the gym. Well, actually, I got back a while ago, and then I had lunch, and today we're gonna clip the Cosy Bear right now. So... yeah. However, I finished a book. I finished Broken Fighter by Maggie Cole. This is the second book in her Mafia Wars series, and I really liked this one. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Like, I loved their romance. I felt like Boris and Nora, I loved like the forbidden aspect of it. It was very good. I just loved how sweet Boris was with Nora. I thought that he was a great hero. I will say this has a pretty unpopular trope in it. Probably one of the most unpopular tropes. But it didn't bother me personally. I wasn't bothered by it. That trope though, I'm gonna tell you what it is, okay? So I'll put a spoiler tag on the screen. It's the surprise baby trope. So that trope doesn't ever bother me, honestly. It's not like, I don't know, like maybe it's because I loved having kids and I was always like, another baby? Yeah. I don't know, it doesn't bother me, you know? But I can see how that would definitely be a hard pass for other people, but for me it wasn't. I just really enjoyed it. I thought their romance was super sweet. And that's the thing I think that I'm finding with Maggie Cole, having read all two of her books. I did download the next one, and I'm excited to read that one. Jen thinks that I will like that one. Jen from the Book Refuge thinks that I will really like that one a lot. I loved the romance in this. I also really liked the Mafia aspect of this. It was a little more brutal than the first book, and I liked that. I do think that this kind of fell into the same trap that happened with the first one, where the first half of the book is super, super strong, and that's when we're kind of getting the relationship building. There's a lot of tension about, are they going to get together, are they not? And then and then that's resolved pretty early on, where they are determined to be together. So then you have other plot conflicts coming along, and I feel like that at that halfway point, until about the last 25% of the book, that it really slows down. Like, the whole pace of the book slows down. The tension of if they're going to get together isn't there anymore, and some of the plot building that's happening with the Mafia world is kind of dragging a little bit. So that chunk right there that kind of slows the whole book down for me is why I gave it a 4 instead of a 5-star. But the romance itself was great. I loved the romance, and I enjoyed this a lot. I would definitely recommend this author. If you like protective heroes, I would definitely recommend this. Like, they're so protective and so sweet with their women, and I just eat that up. Like, that's my favorite thing in the whole entire world. So I was gonna go straight into book 3, but I decided to pick up a different book. I just kind of wanted something a little bit different, but I didn't quite feel ready for a historical romance yet, so I picked up, I think it's called That Kind of Guy by Talia Hibbert. This is book 3 in her Ravenswood series. And this one I am very much enjoying already. I'm not sure exactly how far in that I am, several chapters in. But I'm really, really loving it. So this is our hero named Zach. He is actually a demisexual, which is really great representation in here. He's just kind of recently discovered that about himself. And he's not really, he used to be like, you know, quite the player, had quite the reputation, and now he's really more selective, and he doesn't engage in those type of encounters anymore. But his neighbor, who I believe is Ray, I can't remember her name, the heroine, she is an older woman. She's 40, so this is an older woman, younger man romance, and you know how I feel about those. I have high expectations for this one, not gonna lie. She is recently divorced. Her husband, like, cheated on her with a much younger woman, and she has written a book that has just recently won an award, and so she's going to, like, this award ceremony to get the award, and she's nervous about being there because her husband is going to be there, her ex-husband is going to be there too with his new young bride, and she doesn't want to show up alone. So she's friends with Zach, and Zach definitely has feelings for her, like, big time. Yes, and he's it's delightful. It's just so delightful. The narrator is wonderful for this also. Like, it's a great narrator. He has feelings for her, so she asks him to be like her date for the night, like a fake date type of thing. And as far as she's concerned, he is still very much the player. So she's convinced that even though she's very attracted to him, that things aren't going to go anywhere with him, you know? And so he has to try and convince her that, hey, I'm not a player anymore, I actually have feelings for you. So I heard Avery from Avery Reads Romance. Why is my brain like this? Avery Loves Books? I can't remember. You know Avery, Sweet Avery, the romance booktuber. I know that she recommended this, and I've seen this book around for a really long time, but this was just recently in one of her videos about, I don't know if it was a chronic illness video that she did, or a disability video maybe, because the heroine has POTS, which actually is the chronic illness that Avery has. So I'm excited to see that representation here, and yeah, it's great. I love Talia Hibbert so much, and I'm excited to be reading more of her backlist, so it's very good. I'm liking it a lot so far. It's just got that classic Talia Hibbert humor and a little bit of sexual tension there that is just great. So I'm excited about this one. So that's what I'm going to be reading now. And then I don't know what I'm going to pick up next. I kind of feel like I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where my mood is when I finish this one, because right now I've been reading a lot of contemporaries all in a row, and I kind of feel like I want something different. So I don't know if I want to go back to a historical. I need to get reading on my Ravenels, or if I want to do something totally different. So we'll see. I'm going to try and include one more book in this reading vlog, and then I don't know, we'll see what happens. So now it's time to go groom little Kazi Bear. Kazi boy, come show them your, well, I'll take some video while I'm out there so you can see. You can see the process. He gonna be all shaved up and ready for summer. He gonna have a hot boy summer. Hello my friends, welcome back for another vlog clip. Would you like to see Kazi? He just spilled my drink. I had to clean it up. Come here. Look, see I got a haircut, everybody. So handsome, look at the camera. Oh, don't you put your face up there. Kazi, let's look at the camera. Look at the camera right there. Look, right here. Who's over there? Nobody's over there. We clipped him. He's no longer super fuzzy and furry. And I also went and got a haircut today. I forgot I had this appointment scheduled. And I just got a trim. But look how fresh my ends look. Ah, and I got to blow out and straighten. And it's just so great. Like, salon hair is just the best, isn't it? I just love it. Also, I talked to the guy who does my hair. I have a new person who does my hair. His name is Chad, and he's fantastic. But I was talking to him about my hair color because I'm like, I kind of want to keep doing it myself, but do you think this is damaging? And he said, no, that's probably one of the best options you can do. So we're going to keep it bright. I think. We're going to keep it bright for now. We will see. Here's my drink, Kazi spilled. So, let's do a book update. I finished That Kind of Guy by Talia Hibbert. I listened to this in one day. I freaking loved it so much I gave it 5 stars. I will say there was something at the final conflict wasn't my favorite, but I still loved their romance so much that I gave it 5 stars. I just loved Zach and Ray. Like, Zach was so precious and he was so completely smitten and into Ray, and I really, this is the first book I think that I've read with a demisexual main character, so that was really interesting, and I felt like she handled that really well, and it added a lot of depth and to the story. Like, it helped, it really was interesting to see that in their relationship, and I really liked it. So I just loved this. So Ray is the heroine, she's a writer, and I believe I told you what it's about. She's 40. She's friends with Zach, like they get along really well, and he's 28, and their romance was beautiful. I loved this so much. Like, I know that this book doesn't have a ton of ratings. I think it only has like 1,400 ratings on Goodreads, but I know it's one of those that comes up from time to time on like a little bit of a booktube darling, like certain booktubers talk about this. I think that Bree just recently read this, and Avery recommended it too in one of her videos. Maybe I could just... And I've been wanting to read this series forever, so now I want to go back and read the first 2 because I just really loved it. It was so good. I will say that I think that I like the Brown Sisters series a little bit better, but I still really loved this one. I mean, it's classic Talia Hibbert. It has all of if you like any of her books, you're gonna love this. Honestly, it's just fantastic. It was so good. And if you're looking for an older woman, younger man, this is it. This is a good one. It's a fantastic one, honestly. So good. So then I decided to move on to my June TBR, which I haven't done a great job of sticking to because I've just been mood reading out the wazoo. And I picked up 3 Nights by Deborah Mullins. This book I actually got in a mystery box, I think, when I was buying stuff off of eBay. And I saw the audio was free on Audible, like it's included if you have Audible Plus. So I'm currently about this far into it, almost halfway. And I'm really liking it, like I'm really into the story, but I'm also a little frustrated with the hero, you know, and the heroine, to be quite honest. I feel like so let's see when this book was published. I'm guessing 90s. 2004. Which I guess is kind of a long time ago, but I feel like this has a little bit of an old school vibe in that the hero is extremely physically driven, and there's a lot of talk about his needs, and I just don't love that, you know, and the heroine is very stereotypically virgin and pure, and he's like the only one who's ever touched her, and so it does have a little bit of that type of thing that in my mind marks an older historical romance, which doesn't mean it's bad because I'm really enjoying reading this, but it's also a little tiny bit frustrating only because I feel like I just don't love that concept of the hero. The only reason he wants to be with the heroine is because she was good in bed. Like, I don't like that. I don't like that in historicals. I don't like that in contemporaries. I just don't like that in general. And that's kind of what I'm feeling like his motivation is here, is that those... So, I'm not sure if I summarized this. Let me summarize this. So the heroine in this book, Abigail, her father has just lost his entire fortune or income, like estates and everything, in a game of cards with Lucian, who's also known as Lucifer, is the hero. And so Lucifer, to sort of annul that debt, Abigail's father is entering into a duel with Lucian. And Abigail wants to make sure that doesn't happen because she doesn't want her father to die, obviously. And so she goes to Lucian to try and work out a deal. And so she offers him, I'll stay with you one night if you don't do this anymore. And he's like, how about you stay with me for 3 nights, you know? So the deal is she stays with him for 3 nights, they have 3 nights of passion, and then they never see each other again. So there is a little bit of some plot dynamics that happen on that 3rd morning when she's going to leave that ends up casting Lucian like into slavery, basically, on a ship, and he is separated from Abigail, and he believes her father is the reason why he ended up captured and taken into slavery. And so he has some really, really hard, bad feelings towards Abigail because of what her father sort of put him through when he eventually gets out. Now, Abigail, this is potentially spoilery, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So as I was reading their 3 nights, the whole time I'm thinking, you know, usually in historical romances, they are pretty good at mentioning precautions taken, you know? None of those were taken, and so I was like, is this going to be a plot thread that comes up later? And yes, it did. So she ends up pregnant, and she writes Lucian a letter letting him know and saying, hey, what are you going to do about this, basically? And that letter is intercepted and nefarious things happen where Abigail believes that Lucian basically rejected her and his baby that she's carrying. So years pass, and Lucian comes hunting her father down for revenge, basically, but he can't quite forget those 3 nights that he had with Abigail. Like, he's really drawn to her, he really likes her. Like, this is a little bit adventure-esque, and it's not necessarily a quiet historical romance, you know, like, as in a lot of stuff is happening plot-wise, and there's a lot of, like, subterfuge with different characters and nefarious people and different plot threads that are happening, and all of that is really fun to read. Like, it makes for a very enjoyable and fast-paced book, and I'm really liking it. But I'm not 100% sold on their romance, because it is very much only physically driven, and also at this point, when they're together, they're both, because of the misunderstandings that happened, they both kind of hate each other and have, like, bad feelings towards each other. And so I kind of want to see the relationship develop a little bit more other than just they want each other. You know what I mean? But I will say that it's very unique. I really like the plot setup in here. I think it's a really engaging read. I really like the writing style. It's just probably not going to be a 5-star read for me, but I'm really enjoying it. And I do like the cover. I think the cover's really beautiful. And I think that it has such a cool premise. Like, I really love the premise. I think it's really interesting. And I'm really curious to see how it's going to get resolved. So I'm liking it. I'm definitely invested in it. And I think it has the potential to be a 4-star read for sure. I'm liking it. So those are my thoughts on this book. I'm really liking it. I'm going to finish this and then probably finish this reading vlog because, yeah, then we can get this up for you on Monday. But, alright, I'm going to go have some lunch and then keep reading and working, and I will get back to you later. Oh, do you want to see Kazi? Do you want to see his haircut? Let me show you.
Hi, handsome. Look at your haircut, huh? Look at a big haircut.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it's my fault. I tell him he can get up on he loves his little bum scratch, huh?
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna groom me too? Oh, thank you. That's so nice of you.
You little goofy. Does anyone else's dog do that when you scratch them? They scratch you back. He's so cute.
turn us again with his shrill call into purpose.
Good morning. Welcome back. Okay, final update for this vlog. I finished 3 nights. I literally just barely finished the audiobook by Deborah Mullins, and I feel like maybe I was a little too harsh in my first clip where I was talking about this, because I enjoyed this, honestly. Like, it was definitely trope filled, and it was definitely like, it feels very typical of what I would expect, or what, from what I've read of historical romances written in the early 2000s. Like, this was published in 2004, 2005. It feels very typical of that time period of when books were published. Like, it has a lot of similar tropes. It has that sort of feel to it, you know? And there were definitely some things in here that I was like, that could be either like eye-rolly, or could be kind of, you know, I could see, I guess what I'm trying to say is I can see there are things in this book that would turn off a modern reader, like, a lot, you know? But it kind of worked for me. Like, I enjoyed this. I thought it was really fun. I thought it was just, I just really enjoyed listening to it. I thought that it was fun. So I'm going to give this 4 stars. I really loved the hero in here. Is Lucian, is very protective. Like, he's super protective. He's a little bit self-conscious. He's a scarred hero. He is also a bastard son, so he doesn't actually, like, he is, his father, or, like, yeah, his father was part of the nobility, but, and his brother is the duke, and his stepmother is the duchess, and, you know, like, they really hate him because he's the bastard son, and his father raised him as if he were a real son, so there's that sort of conflict in there, which is really fun. I think that he was a little off-putting to me in the beginning, but he definitely grew on me. Like, I really enjoyed his character by the end. I really liked him a lot, honestly. And Abigail, the heroine, no, not Abigail, Evelyn. I listened to the audiobook, and it may be, you know how I am with names. Evelyn, the heroine, I liked her a lot. I feel like she was a pretty great heroine for a historical romance written in the early 2000s. I enjoyed her. I felt like she had a lot of backbone in the beginning. I like how she sought out Lucian to sort of offer herself to have that debt be paid. I thought that was pretty brave and interesting, an interesting plot twist. I think that says a lot about her character. I like how she gave people the benefit of the doubt. I think that she did a really good job of not being, like, so naively trusting, because there is like a sort of mysterious plot throughout this book too, and you can definitely see where she is much less trusting about some people in Lucian's life. It has to do with Lucian and how he was betrayed and ended up being sold into slavery, basically, is what it was. You can tell that she's a lot less trusting about the people in his life, because she's like, somebody here betrayed you, and he's like, no, none of these people, they care about me, you know? So I feel like she had a little bit of a shrewd mind, which was interesting. Like, I liked her. I felt like there was some nice complexities to her character, and one of the things that I really liked the most about this is, Evelyn is very, very loyal to her father throughout the entire book until pretty much right towards the end. And her father really was terrible. Like, he ran their family into ruin. He was ready and willing to sacrifice his daughter to have her virtue just on the offering table to satisfy his gambling addiction, I guess, basically is what it was. And she always, like, she didn't hold that against him, and in a way that I feel like she was a little bit blind to the fact that he wasn't a great father at all, and that maybe Lucian was a little bit justified in his feelings towards her father. And I was starting to, like, it's easy to be frustrated with her throughout the book because she so blindly is loyal to her father instead of trying to form a life with Lucian, you know, who also is a bit of a blackguard, roguish character, but he wants to have a life with her. He wants to make good on what happened during their 3 nights, you know? I hope I'm not being too vague. I feel like I may be spoiling some things, but I also feel like these are the things that I think are interesting about this book, and I think they're worth talking about. But then there came a point at the end when Evelyn realized you know what, my dad's really hasn't been a great dad to me, and he hasn't really treated me very well, and he was very selfish, and Lucian wasn't, you know, like Lucian, for all of what I've said, that he's a rogue and that he's a bit of a blackguard hero, he is also a man of honor, and he wants to do what's right by Evelyn, and he wants to protect her, and he wants to take care of her, and I just really enjoyed I liked him as a hero a whole lot, you know. And there was a moment in here that I thought was really, really great, and it was really kind of a gem and one of my favorite parts of this book, and it was when Evelyn sort of had this epiphany, when she's thinking about her father and how he really hasn't been a great dad to her, and she has this moment where she realizes what Lucian's motives were, like how, I mean, maybe she doesn't really realize what his motives were so much as she can see his point of view. She can understand why he thought the way he did and why he did the things he did towards her father. Whereas up until that moment, she was labeling him as a villain for the actions that he did and not really considering what his motives or his intent was behind them. And I loved seeing that because I feel like that's such a pivotal moment especially in a romance, in a relationship driven book, where you can see your partner's point of view and you can understand why they did that without automatically assuming that because it's different from yours, it's wrong, you know? I just loved that. I thought that was handled really well in here. I do think the ending wrapped up a little too quickly and it was a little bit obvious, like the mystery, the plot was a little too obvious, but I didn't really mind it because it was just fun. It was a fun, engaging read. It reminded me, like, I had just read a few months ago, the Teresa Medeiros for the Rake Appreciation Society, was that After Midnight. And that was also written in the early 2000s, and I really enjoyed that one too. I thought it was super fun, and that has a similar feel and how it's paced and how it's plotted and how the relationship is going and the sort of the back and forth between the hero and heroine. So I think that I'm beginning to see that, and that this was definitely a trope or a writing style that happened in historicals at that time, and I don't hate it at all. Like, I enjoyed this. It was fun. It was a 4-star read. I kind of wavered back and forth between like I don't want to give it a 3-star because I really did enjoy the reading experience of this, and I kind of feel like, for me personally, if I rate a book 3 stars, it's usually one that I didn't enjoy reading. You know, like maybe I struggled to want to keep picking it back up. It kind of was dragging, or it just wasn't a fun read. So I feel like books that, not always, but I feel like the enjoyment factor of this book, reading this book, was higher than a 3-star, so I ended up putting it at a 4. But I will say I can see how this book would not be for every modern reader. I think that if you are a fan of historicals, and you've been a fan of historicals, and you've read a lot of historicals, you may have read her. She's only published like 18 books, I think, and I don't believe she's writing anymore. I went to go see if I could find more of her books, because I really liked this. And you can't buy, like, they're out of print on Amazon, and some of her paperbacks sell for like $60 or $70, so I feel like I've got a little treasure here. I'm gonna definitely have to track more of her down because I'm very intrigued with her books. I really liked her writing style, and it was fun. It was a fun read. I really enjoyed it. So I feel like I was a little too harsh in the beginning, but honestly, like, I feel like that's kind of, I don't know how to describe this. Like, I don't want to say that this won't appeal to modern readers, you know? Because I feel like, obviously, I am a modern romance reader, and I really liked this. Like, I kind of loved it a little bit. Other than a few of the obvious plot things, and that made me put it at a like, it's not quite a 5-star, but it was still just, like, really, really good. I really enjoyed this. Yeah, solid 4-star. I liked it a lot. This was the first book I've read by her. If you have read her before, will you please let me know in the comments? I would love to know what you think and other books of hers that you've read and enjoyed, because I really want to find some more because I really like this. I think that she's a little bit of an underrated gem, honestly. I'd love to see, I don't hear anybody talking about her. I don't ever really see her covers. I know she doesn't have stepbacks in most of these. I think they were published. It is published by Avon. Her books are published by Avon. but I haven't seen any with stepbacks in them, so maybe that's why she's not talked about. I feel like in the social media book world, you either have the historical romances that are popular and just like very good recent ones, or you have like the really old school ones with like the stepbacks that get talked about a lot, and I don't hear her talked about ever. So I would love to find some more books by her or hear some more recommendations if you've read her. So all right, we're gonna end this vlog here. I had a great reading week. I had 2 4-star books. Really loved the Maggie Cole Mafia one also. I feel very similar about that book and this Deborah Mullins one. Like, they were both such enjoyable reads, but there were a few things with the plot that kind of pushed it to a 4 instead of a 5, and the romance wasn't quite strong enough to put it to a 5. Like, I just saw in I have a Discord group for our historical romance book club, and Justin was talking about Indigo and why he rated it what he did, and it was just interesting. I'm not going to say because it will be spoilers. That's our book club pick for July, so that live show will be this week on my channel. So anyway, it was just interesting hearing how he rates books, and even if he really loves the romance in a book, if there are other things, maybe technical things or other plot-based things, like, and he admitted he was a bit of a critical reader. I hope you don't mind him calling you out, Justin. I do it with love. I do it with love. I just love hearing how people rate books, like what their rating system is. And yeah, so for me, if the romance is a 5 out of 5, like if the romance is really good, it's going to take a lot for me to push it to a 3-star. Like there's going to have to be a lot wrong with that book for me to push it to a 3-star. There can be things wrong with even if it's that great of a romance, that might push it to a 4, like things that would be really just annoying to me. But in general, if the romance is amazing, it's gonna get a 5-star read, and I'll be like, well, it had a few issues, but the romance was so good that I didn't really mind, you know. Okay, this has been a very long clip. So yeah, the Talia Hibbert one was fantastic. I kind of wish that I had talked more about that one. I read it so quickly, and then I didn't update my vlog right away, that it kind of, like, all of those in-the-moment thoughts kind of left me, you know. So I will be including that in my wrap-up, and then I'm also working on an age gap romance video, so I'll definitely be talking about that one more. But I loved that one. All of the books I read this week were great. Had a great reading week, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have made it this far, I would love it if you could leave me a sunshine, because it's summer, and it is going to be really hot here in Utah this week, so yay. Thanks so much for watching, my friends. I'll see you in my next video.